My name is Daniel. I've been working here at the Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University for the last 2.5 years as a lecturer in English for academic purposes, and have done some research on technology-enhanced learning and the effect on particularly student engagement and learner autonomy, which tend to be a bit of a challenge in our context. Students don't tend to be particularly engaged, and learner autonomy is always a real challenge here, getting students away from the traditional model of just waiting and listening for their teachers. But over to my colleague here.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Phoebe, and I'm a colleague of Daniel working on the same course for English for academic purposes. And my research interests include students' assessment literacies and their engagement with formative assessment feedback, as well as technology-enhanced learning. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you. Okay, so shall we get started? The topic of our presentation is on interactive videos, a special type called H5P videos, and how they can be used to promote student engagement and performance based on a case study project conducted by Daniel and me. Okay, so this is our today's outline. First of all, I will introduce to you what HTML5, also known as H5P content is, and the framework of flipped and blended learning to support the use of educational technologies. After that, I will provide the purpose and the context for our research. And then Daniel will provide you with our research results and discussion, followed by some pedagogical implications. Okay, so let's get started. What is HTML5 or H5P content exactly? So basically, this is an open source web platform where you can create interactive and multimodal activities with features like texts, pictures, or videos. According to these researchers, Jacob and Santofani 2023, these kind of videos or content can be used to promote student learner autonomy and increased engagement. Okay, so here on this slide, we've got a range of applications for H5P content, which you can also find on its official website, h5p.org. So the first two are what we mostly use for our courses here. Now, in an interactive video, for example, students can interact with it by clicking on different tabs that pop up at different points, with embedded questions or important links to information and essential tasks to complete. So according to Yao, Luo, and Shao 2024, as well as Lai and Bower 2020, they all find that using these videos will help students improve their understanding and retention of the knowledge, as well as the increased engagement with the video content. Okay, so moving on, let's look at a popular framework called flipped and blended learning to support the use of digital technologies. So for flipped learning, usually the online content, such as videos, are often provided for students to watch before classes and is also combined with, for example, a face-to-face discussion to reflect on the video content. So Fisher et al. 2018, Ma and Lee 2020, they both find whether it's flipped learning approach or blended learning approach can increase engagement and make students more accountable for exploring online materials in a self-directed manner. Now, so these researchers, Stockwell and Reinders 2019 and Wong 2013, they both point out that for either flipped or blended learning approach to be effective, our educators need to provide students with more interesting and interactive content. At the same time, we also need to be aware of student digital literacy levels, academic skills levels, and whether our students are ready or willing to engage with the online content that we provide. So for our research, we are particularly interested to find out how using these videos can help improve student engagement from 3 dimensions, namely cognitive, behavioral, and affective engagement. So cognitive engagement is largely to do with student reflection and maybe their selection of the learning strategies. For example, when they choose to pause the video or replay parts of the video, and then whether they decide to take important notes. Okay, so this is all about cognitive thinking process. As for behavioral aspect, it's to do with what they actually do while watching these videos. For example, whether they completed all the quiz questions, whether they checked the answers, or whether they actually took some notes. For the affective engagement, this is related to student feelings about these videos. For example, is it a fun, is it enjoyable experience, or they feel it challenging to watch certain parts of the video, so how they feel about it. Now, in our context, engagement is also translated as student performance, increased performance in their formative assessments. So our formative assessments mainly include some in-class tests with maybe MCQ questions and some other types of, comprehension questions, plus a tutorial discussion, mainly focusing on their formative writing coursework. Now, our research participants are all Year 2 students coming from a credit-bearing EAP course, especially designed for mathematics students. And they are all studying at a transnational Sino-British university, where English is the main medium of instruction, which is located in my city, Suzhou of China. So some of the preparation work that we've done for our research includes a couple of steps. So first of all, we recorded some relevant videos, which are mostly focused on assessment skills and some specific topics. And then we added these H5P content, which are quiz questions or links to some important documents like their assessment task sheets or some of the review documents. Afterwards, we uploaded all these videos to our virtual learning platform, which is known as Moodle, and now has been changed to something called Learning More. And then we introduced these videos to our students, both in class and via emails, so that they know these videos are available for them to help with their formative assessments. Okay, so now I would like to hand over to my partner Daniel, who is going to give you an example of H5P video. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You can still hear me, I hope?
Clearly.
Okay, great. So we do have a video here, and I'm not sure if we've got enough time to really show that, but I just thought I'd highlight the bookmarks menu on the left-hand side here that students can use for navigation purposes, and the timeline where each of these small circles represents one comprehension question. So there are regular comprehension questions throughout the video that have been created, and we'll have a look at one example just now. So here I'm speaking about formative writing coursework, task sheet, and what students are expected to do. The video would stop and they would be prompted to then answer this question on FWCW task requirements. Moving on, that looks a bit like this. What type of essay should you write? As you may be able to tell from the background, it should be a problem solution essay. Clicking on that, it would go green, and hopefully you'd eventually get to this page or to this slide where it says you've got 3 out of 3 questions right, and you get a little gold star at the end, which students do appreciate. It's always fun to have some of these gamified features included. After that, they're able to continue, or if they wanted to, they could review by replaying all of that once more. So we connected both quantitative and qualitative data on student engagement with these videos, as well as to what extent this engagement then translated to improved performance in in-class test 1, which was a quiz on academic integrity, referencing and reporting verbs, and in-class test 2, a tutorial engagement on the topic of their formative writing coursework. So that included Moodle analytics logs of frequency of engagement, as well as completion records that were then correlated with these other scores. Qualitative data was particularly interesting for things like satisfaction and engagement, and included panel interviews with 13 students at the end of the semester, during which we asked them questions about what were they most satisfied with, how much time did they spend on videos, what was the most useful, what did they learn, and so on. So just having a quick look at some results here, we did get some initial quantitative results, which indicated that completion of initial videos and score for in-class test 1 were positively correlated or connected. Slightly less so in the case of in-class test 2, which was probably down to several factors, it being a speaking test, it being based on feedback from the formative writing coursework that they may not have completed, and perhaps also that it was later on in the semester. They may have just started switching off a little bit at that stage, which is a regular problem that we do seem to have with Year 2 students here. More interesting in a way is the qualitative results. Satisfaction was high, but also masked a bit of a difference. So more higher level students, or higher proficiency level students, I should say, tended to give a higher score in terms of satisfaction with the videos, with lower level students, lower proficiency level in this case, tended to give a slightly lower score. And that appears to be down to the difficulty of answering some of these embedded questions. Engagement, I was happy to see we had all 3 forms of engagement to varying extents being mentioned by students. We can see examples in the right-hand column there, but novelty, interest in the more gamified features such as stars and leaderboards were particularly interesting and particularly engaging for students. So several of them commented on that. And I particularly like this one. It's kind of like I'm playing a game, so it makes you a lot of fun. But they also mentioned reviewing and remembering core concepts, applying learning strategies perhaps, and then also noting some keywords, names and links as they went along with the video. Often they would do this after watching the video, so it might be worth giving students a bit of time after the video to just take notes of what they remember and what they kind of got from the video. Motivation, probably mainly extrinsic, in that they were using these to prepare for in-class tests, formative assessments, and perhaps also later summative assessments during the following semester. But there were aspects of enjoyment and satisfaction that I think we could call intrinsic motivation. Videos were on average 7 to 8 minutes long. Students tended to spend 10 to 15 minutes. So that probably reflected having a bit of time to answer questions as well, which appears to be quite positive. Students self-reported these time amounts and was a little bit difficult to check because learning analytics were incomplete when it came to time spent. What they learned was predominantly key skills on our course, so referencing, finding appropriate academic sources using the library, and engaging with feedback in order to prepare for a tutorial discussion. We also asked them about preferences for future learning, and that revealed that quite a lot of the more advanced students actually would probably have preferred a more flipped model, where they actually wanted to see these videos before class in order to prepare for them. But the majority of students did acknowledge that blended was probably best, in that they would prefer to also have some designated time in class to engage with these resources, and lower proficiency learners, less motivated learners, would perhaps find it difficult to engage in more flipped models. So our key findings, we did see increased engagement levels that did vary a bit, so particularly cognitive or behavioral engagement, but also effective for some of them. Improved retention and comprehension was quite apparent in-class test 1, where students did tend to do better in spite of dropout. We did have quite a high number of student participants that eventually then dropped down to a fairly low number by the middle of the semester. Increased motivation, particularly extrinsic, and it's particularly appropriate, I think, for key academic skills like referencing, finding appropriate sources, and feedback. But I should mention perhaps that students did also mention having new topics, so it might be a way of introducing a new topic as well. And preference for flipped learning with some of the more advanced students. So going forward, a couple of implications for the use of H5P content is that it could be quite appropriate for diverse learning objectives and needs for quite a large variety of different students, because of the affordances that they give for students to replay videos, to respond to them in their own manner, based on their own learning styles, at their own time, as much as they need. So rather than having the teacher, say, explain it once or twice in class, students could really just replay that section whenever and wherever they are. We should perhaps consider how it's integrated within the curriculum, and I believe blended learning is probably most effective there, of actually giving particularly undergraduate students some structured time to engage with these videos as part of the curriculum, and then also to encourage them to use it outside of the classroom as what I call self-study plus, something going a bit beyond the regular written or reading homework that we might generally assign, towards more interactive, more engaging sort of homework. Right, that's about it for us. This is our reference list, and I'm happy to leave it open for questions.